the business we're in, there's two different types of business. You're either doing physical work or mental work.
Yep.
It's those two, okay? And if you're in the space of mental work, which the majority of people are, you must keep the internal person, which is your employee, at an excitement level that's high if you want a great experience for your customer.
Absolutely.
On the other. It's the same thing with Cancun Friday. It doesn't cost us anything.
No.
Hey, welcome to a live edition of Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis Brothers. This is an exciting day because we're live, so make sure to join in on any of our Facebook pages. Put in the comments if you got something you want us to talk about. But we've got some exciting things to talk about today.
We're talking Ultimate Challenge.
Ultimate Challenge. We'll get into the nitty gritty there, but we're talking about years in the making that we continue to bring the best deals, the best selections, the ultimate for the trades. Really a great time for people to buy here in Northwest Arkansas. So let's get started with that. But before we dive into it, Shelby, we got to remind them about last week.
Habits.
Oh, so
We
good.
talked about habits, all things
Like this one.
Creating habits, the habit of drinking coffee, when you should, when you shouldn't, getting up early, how to be disciplined. We talked personally.
Yep.
We talked business-wise.
That's right.
Kind of broke the whole thing down. So it's episode 24. You can find that on all of your podcast sources. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Facebook. Make sure you reference that Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis Brothers. Check it out. What in the heck are we diving in today? And I forgot, always join in, lewissuperstore.com. You can check out our inventory, over 1,000 vehicles in stock. Ultimate Challenge, 555 vehicles must be sold, up to $20,000 off new vehicles. Rates as low as 0% interest.
That was Taylor's part, but you just jumped in there.
When I start going,
I know. You wind us up, type A personality, and we get going. That's what the fun part is.
We're
about this.
live.
Let's go. I know. So we are talking about those specials. Taylor, what specials did you bring for Ultimate Challenge?
I've got to go to the absolute ultimate family truck.
Tell 'em.
It's on the showroom. It's black.
Okay.
It's got the peanut butter interior. It's rear DVDs. It's the best driving road vehicle. You're talking Expedition Platinum Max, all the cargo for your kids, all the room for the entertainment, the ultimate luxury, self-driving, massaging seats.
oh, it's got Blue Cruise?
Blue Cruise.
like
It
it.
means hands-free driving for anyone that's not my brother beside me, because he can't drive under 81 miles an hour. He drives
Everyone's
very
worth the Blue
fast.
Cruise
Different
for safety
subject.
purposes.
For safety
You know
purposes.
what I love about that thing?
What's that?
It's got rear entertainment.
Yes.
You can plug in and use all your sources. It's got max trailer tow. It's 3.5
Haul it
Ecoless.
all.
Yeah, the wakeboard boat.
Hey, but we're talking.
8,500.
Yeah, so it will be over 8,500 pounds. That is a lot. That's a lot. That's more than most people pull with their half-ton, three-quarter-ton pickup. That is a lot of weight.
And that's a super saver. It's the Ultimate Challenge.
$15,000.
$15,000 off.
Hey, you may have seen our ads out there, whether you're on social or it's in your email or you're driving down the road and saw a billboard, or really wherever, because we did a lot of
Yeah, I
marketing
hope
this
you've
month.
seen it because it's out there. But
So we show you that we have the ultimate discounts up there, like Taylor talked about, up to $20,000 off. We do have 0% financing. We got to plug this. The ultimate amount for your trade.
Yeah,
It's just a big selection. But hey, I got to pause real quick before we get started here. And we got a sponsor in the house today. You'll notice in the coffee cup, this is one of our partners, and Bob.
they sponsored us.
Well, it works both ways. That's just a
Okay,
shout
beast
out.
to the burden.
You know what I mean?
Coffee mug brought to
We
you. by-
love sponsoring people local, and that's another great reason that you do business with us, because if you've listened to any of our podcasts, if you've ever talked to us, our goal is to provide a great place for people to work, a great place for customers to do business, but then we also want to give back local too.
Sure.
I know that wasn't in there, but it just felt right to say. So, all right, so Ultimate Challenge, we got to give you a little bit of backstory, because some people are like, all right, we hear you on the
Where
radio.
did it come from?
Where did it come from? So if we rewind the tape to the early 2000s, when we were growing up, we had this big sale just right across the interstate from where we are, called our big fairgrounds sale.
At the Washington County Fairgrounds.
At the Washington County Fairgrounds, where we moved all of our vehicles there, all of our employees, and we had this massive used car sale.
Showdown.
Well, in '02, that thing had to come to a close. Some regulations changed, some logistics changed.
But it was only a weekend long.
It was only a weekend long. So it started on a Thursday, ended on a Sunday.
Yep.
So then the board got together. Of course, we were young at that time, but it was, what do we do next? How do we replace that fairground sale that brings great deals to Northwest Arkansas, that helps our salespeople give a big punch of selling a bunch of vehicles. That's where Ultimate Challenge came from.
So in 2003,
So in 03.
let's stretch it out for a whole month long.
So at 03, we ran from 03 right up to 2020, okay? So that was 17 years of this sale. And now in 2025, we're bringing it back. We had to take a little bit of a break.
Sure.
Because of...
We didn't have enough inventory to be able to hit a number. If we told you Ultimate Challenge, 212 vehicles will be sold,
Been laughed.
you'd have been laughed at. So
Probably by each other.
yeah, it's part of it. So it's back. It is back. Taylor?
It is back.
It is back. So when you... Taylor, let's walk through. Let's give them a little bit behind the scenes of Ultimate Challenge and you in management. What do you see, or what does that mean besides just the big discounts?
It is internal atmosphere, your excitement level. I love anyone that has been trying to get away from it because they're like, oh my gosh, something's happening. You can't hide from it. It is definitely that it bleeds over to your whole team. The enthusiasm, the excitement, the atmosphere. It is absolutely a blast to be a part of. I don't care if you're having the worst day. You step into it, it's the best cup of coffee to be able to get you leapfrog forward into the day, and you have so much fun with it. It's ultimate atmosphere for your team.
I think the best way to describe it is if you've been part of something retail or in the automotive industry, on the last day of the year, the last day of the month, it's like, hey, call everybody you know, tell them to get down here. We're not going to refuse any offer.
That's right.
We're going to give a crazy amount for trading because we need another vehicle to replace.
You bet.
Yes.
We're going to give them the craziest discount. Like, I'm talking like well below the line. Taylor was going over pricey yesterday, and I was just like, oh gosh, okay. And so we can't make up today's work tomorrow.
Yes.
We realize that to sell 555 vehicles, that is at 176% of last month's production. So it's intense, but it's heavily beneficial for a customer.
It's heavily. Yesterday, I loved it. I jumped in. Customer was like, hey, I don't expect you to make this work. I don't expect you to make this scenario work. I said, hold on, let's sit down, let's go through it. And guess what? He ended up leaving in a brand new car that he thought wasn't going to work, situation wasn't going to work. We're going to make any deal happen, and we're going to put it together.
Hey, I think to put that in context, when we talk about those big discounts out there, we started adding up behind the scenes of how many discounts, how many rebates when we bundle all that together. And the number is actually bigger than this, but we had to reduce it down so it was more believable. We've got over $2 million marked to help put deals together.
That's in customer discounts and savings.
Yes.
Yep.
From new cars and used cars, of the 1,000 vehicles we have in stock, $2 million in customer discounts.
$1 million. All right, we'll continue on here. But again, if you're joining us live out there on any of the social platforms, hey, throw it in the comments. We see you guys jumping in there. Thank you for the likes. Thanks for jumping in there and sharing the video. But if you have anything you want us to cover specifically, you've been listening to the podcast, you're like, man, I wish they would touch on this. Throw it in the comments and we'll grab a hold of that and talk about that. But so the Ultimate Challenge, let's get back into that. It's kind of in our wheelhouse. And if you've been around us, we love culture, we love atmosphere, and we love excitement. And if you've been to any of our meetings, so we take that, what you might see in one day, and we spread it and stretch it out for the entire month of March. And so I'm going to kick this to you, Shelby. Why does it happen during the month of March? Why not February? Why not April?
That's a really good question. So for a lot of different reasons, but it kind of kicks off the selling season. We're coming off of February, where you still got a pretty good chance that it's going to snow. That's a short month. It's just February you're getting through to get to March. It's the end of the first quarter for the manufacturers. It's when they are rolling into Ford's truck month. It's when inventory really starts rolling. And speaking of, we've had 8 transports drop since yesterday morning. 8 transports times the average of about 8 vehicles per transport.
That's 64.
That's 64.
That's 64. Paragraph math.
That's been fun.
So it's the freshest of inventory. Our used car inventory just grows. Each day we print out a 3-day trade, and that's been on an average of 3 pages, which is well over 60 vehicles each day that has grown from trade-ins, from street purchases. And so it's kind of just, March just sets up to be huge.
It really does. Now let me go. I'm going to give you another reason besides just the hype. We want to sell cars and the sun's coming out, the daylight savings and all that stuff. From a manufacturer's point of view, it's their last month in the first quarter. So January, February, they get the year started off. They kind of try to figure out where they're landing market share wise. Now, market share is important. It might not be important to you, the customer, but it's important to the stock market.
You're getting into the stock.
Oh yeah, I'm going right there.
Yeah.
So it's important there with the investment with a publicly owned company. And if their market share starts going down, or when they start reporting their first quarter earnings, they would adjust those rebates to get bigger market share. So the customer, I'm bringing it back around the customer. Okay. So then the customer wins right there. So the month of March, they really hit the gas pedal. It really is a great time to take advantage.
The manufacturer doesn't like coming out in January 1st and saying, hey, let's do a crazy amount of rebates, right? They just came off of December. Rebates is a way to right size the pricing of a vehicle in order for a customer to say that's a good enough price that I should do business. And it starts in January. It's kind of like a new month.
It is.
An ultimate challenge month. We're like, hey, let's see if we can not be in the negative when we sell these cars, right? So then as it comes March, you're like, okay, we adjusted as much as we could. That didn't get us as much as we want. We got to go bigger in the discounts.
Absolutely.
Right? So we take those discounts, we stack them with the Lewis Automotive Ultimate Challenge discounts, and it equals huge. That's where we came up with the $2 million in customers' discounts and savings. So it's a big time.
It really is. It's a big time. The selection's there, the excitement's there. And when we sit down strategically and look at it, we give managers, Taylor was talking about it earlier, but we give managers this green light to give more on trades, to bring us any offer. You know, when we sat in the manager meeting yesterday, it was like, bring me any offer, even the ridiculous ones that you think I'd kick you out of my office for, because this month I'm not going to. So you, the customer, wins it. And not only that, Ford just came out with a program. You can get all those discounts we were talking about, but they've got many vehicles that are 90 days till no payments.
90 days, no payment, puts it out, structures it
April, May, June.
That's well into summertime.
June before you have to make your first payment there.
Absolutely. So that's structured across their whole lineup, from Super Duties to Mavericks to Broncos to small trucks, big trucks, SUVs, cars. All of them qualify for that deferred payment.
So when the customer shows up here, let's rewind to Saturday when it kicked off.
Okay.
How does it look and feel different? Walk us through, and this is a month long, but what did Saturday, as a customer driving off the road, what does it look like?
If you've ever been to a amusement park, take a Disney World, take a Six Flags, or you've ever been to a really big sporting event and you're walking through all the tailgating, the excitement and the hype, that's what you'll feel here. That's what you'll feel here. It's when you walk in, there's things for the kids to do. There's excitement. We had the hot dog cart here. We had the Arts mobile RV here making pottery on hand. We had the live remotes. We had Jack's ice cream here. So all these things, and the coffee trailer.
Hey, shout out on Saturday, and I laughed about this. Atomic Dogs absolutely killed it, and we laughed whenever he showed up. We had so many customers show up for Customer Appreciation Day. He showed up with 150 hot dogs and said, that'll be plenty of enough to be able to do it. We doubled that.
But here's the thing, enough is never enough.
Sure.
And so we tried to help him with that. And so I would check on the vendors. Hey, how's the coffee going? How's the ice cream? Do you have enough pottery? How's everything going? And so the hot dog guy was like, hey, it's going good. I was like, hey, your line's getting really long. Let's simplify. Do you want mustard? Do you want ketchup? Because he was making like Chicago dogs. I was like, hey, give me some gloves. Let me stay. He's like, oh, no, sir. Step back. I was like, oh, no, I'm USDA approved. Give me some more.
You were messing him up.
And so then he said, I'm running low. And I said, you keep working. Trenton, go to Sam's Club now.
Yes.
And buy mass amounts. He's
Buy
like,
1,000
he's like, that's not exactly my quality. I said, no, we only buy the best.
It's his quality.
And that's kind of the discount and the idea that rolls through the whole thing.
Yes.
And Craig's over there laughing because he just knows that's how it goes. Right? Like we're always going to find when the customer shows up and they're like, I'm looking for a blue crew cab, 2-wheel drive, long bed, got to have this. There's no chance that you'll ever have one. I'm like, you came to the right place.
You sure have come to the right place. And I think the point you make there is what you see on whether it's a podcast or you see us wound up in a meeting, that's the same thing you'll get when you come here. Is it's true and it's transparent and we care and we love being involved. We also love the excitement. We want to create great places for people to work and a great place for a customer to do a transaction too. We know that we fight this perceived notion about how it is to buy a car or what that experience is like. And we're out to set a new trend with that, to make it fun, to make it exciting, which it should be. It's the second largest purchase in your life. And March is a great time for that because you get those big savings. You get that 90 days, no payments. You know, we got payments that start at $199. We love to talk about, we sell a car for anybody. You know, whether you're on a $199 budget or a $5,000 cash car because you just got your taxes back, or you want a brand new loaded out with every bell and whistle, whether it's an Expedition or a Grand Wagoneer, we want to be able to help you there. Let's talk a little bit about Ultimate Challenge. And we talked about 13 years. We're coming back now, but how that thing has progressed. I can remember when the number was high 200s I remember when Dad put out there 300 must be sold no matter what it takes.
Yes.
And I was like, man, how are we going to get to 300? We did, though.
Oh, yeah. It's just one of those things. You put the big number, and then you divide that. Here, the Lewis Ford store is going to sell this. The Springdale store is going to sell this. The Chrysler store is going to sell this. And then how many people? It's no different than we always talk on the podcast. We come up with the grand scheme as an automotive group, 265 employees, and then we're going to start separating and bringing it down. So that's another thing I just sent out this morning to all the managers. Hey, let me help you with your daily travel rate. And then we do some forecasting and we say, hey, per person. And then you did some forecasting of cutting it up of how many activities need to happen. And that's group wide so that it is achievable.
That's right.
You're not trying to eat the entire elephant one bite.
I think we're going to pause here. We've had our sales hat on and all the hype. We got to talk to all the business owners out there because there's some golden nuggets there. When we talk about this 555 number, that's a big number. And when people talk, you're going to sell 555 cars? That's big. We reduce it down to per store and then per salesperson. And then our managers know and our salespeople know we're concentrating on daily. Okay, that's just today. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's the present. That's what you got to manage. We manage today's activities. So if you're out there with a business, we got to go to our business owners for a minute. Manage your daily activities. Set your monthly goal, but then it's over there. It's what's your daily goal? How many appointments do you need? How many inspections do you got to do? How many plumbing repairs do we need to go do? How many phone calls do we need for that? You know, our guys, for example, the sheet you're talking about, we broke it down in an equation based upon their stats and their numbers. How many emails to equal a sold? How many texts to equal a sold? How many phone calls to equal a sold? How many visits? How many numbers? How many test drives? So on and so forth. And you're like, whoa, that's a lot of data. Hey, business is people and processes and managing that mathematical equation. And if you'll do that, that compounding will happen day after day after day. You know, if you start thinking about 25 or 30 phone calls, we got, you know, the people that do it every other day, they only get in half the work of the person that shows up every single day and they do 25 to 50 phone calls. They'll beat everybody else just because their daily activities are higher. More will come out the other end.
And what I love about that would just like our natural endurance to say, okay, if this is the normal elevation, I want to know what's up here, right? So we talk about habit stacking. We just came off of last week, talk about creating habits within the dealership, within processes. I think if you were just, you know, the idea is to be just 1% better each day, you know, over the course of 31 days, that'll put you 31% better than you were. So we know the mathematical equation to go from our last 90-day average to where we are now. It was 134% of production.
No. It fires me up because I know our team, even though when we throw something out there like that, you can see it in their eyes. They look at you like, that's it, boss. We got you. We got you. We know we're going to go to work every day, but we know we have a superstar team developed, trained, ready to go, and we're going to take your number and we're going to one-up it. That's what I love about our team.
That's the idea. And yesterday we had to spend some time. Saturday we launched it just in pure hype. Spend an hour in a sales meeting. It was kind of tough of like bring the hype, then bring some understanding of how it works. So yesterday we broke that down a little bit more because as we've grown massively, and it's been since 2020, since the Ultimate Challenge happened, and we'll talk about the auction in a second. So it's been since 2019 since the auction happened. I said everyone raise their hand, salesperson-wise, who's been a part of this before, and of the team of 45 people that were in there, it was less than 5. And so I said, wow, I need to spend some time to bring my hype down a little bit and completely understand, so that when I'm like, hey, we need to sell 13 per day at this store, I need to sell 3 per day at this store, and 7 per day at this store, they're not like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Why? They just understand, and then what their stats are. And so we help them understand.
All right, so tip one we've gone over once we've gotten kind of past our excitement of Ultimate Challenge is managing the daily activities.
So,
all right, here's tip number 2 as a business owner. Now, I don't care what business you're in, or even if you're in education and teaching. Here's tip number 2. You must get your internal customer, which is your employees, buy-in first before you want an external reflection, which is your customers doing business with you.
100%.
We haven't even talked about how much we've spent and how we've guerrilla marketing every single advertising and marketing channel that you could possibly have out there. But if you don't let your internal employees know what's going on, and you spend all that money to drive traffic to come into your store or to call your phone or to send in a web lead just to get an answer on the other end of like, I'm not really sure what they're doing, let me gather those details, they're coming out with new stuff all the day, you've missed your shot to knock it over the park. So that's what we talked about on Saturday. We talked about yesterday. We are constantly getting buy-in from our employees so that they're ready to go and they're singing the same song, beating to the same drum beat that we are. So when the customer comes in, it's simply a handoff. We start it up, and then we continue to go forth on that. So Taylor, once you go in a little bit deeper, or any other thoughts that you have about getting the employees involved so they know what's going on, they're ready for the customer.
The biggest deal about the employees, and it starts, you already hit the nail on the head, but with management, because you can sit and talk and rah-rah and hoorah and everything in the meetings, but until that manager realizes, and it takes a upper level manager to make sure, hey, I'm going to be here, we're going to go do this, and it is different. You're getting up, you're in the atmosphere, you're walking the walk of what you're doing, of your talk there, and you're in the middle of it. So it really stems, Matt, from the managers in the whole area. Yes, they have to have an idea. They have to be 150% of whatever they need to be, so the team around them really understands, hey, we're going to be bought in. Hey, I'm looking at cars differently. Hey, I'm marketing cars differently. It's going to be ready to go. I'm going to talk to every single customer like I'm talking about, and I'm going to deliver this experience that is already great that we have, but I'm going to take it to that next level. And it starts with management being able to do that, because then as your team will follow you and as you ask for that next gear, they see, Taylor's in it, Shelby's in it. Okay, I've got my other managers in it. They're right there to help me. So I know if I fall, they're going to be there to pick me up and push me on. So it really starts there.
I think that's so good. And you especially hit on there that you prepared them, you role played, we went through all the details. So you're not practicing and introducing on the customer.
No.
You're prepared and ready to go. Think about a sports team, how much they practice before game day.
Absolutely.
That's a really good point, and understanding that. Yesterday we referenced it a little bit. So like if you did a March Madness, or if you did a Midnight Madness,
Sure,
and you didn't tell the whole team about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I referenced it to an amusement park, a really long line of people, because that's what it looked like on Saturday.
They did.
That being said, still the average time from a consumer showing up and purchasing a vehicle was less than 2 hours long.
Yep.
Because everyone was well-trained, well-oiled machine. And so while it looked, that's why I was at the hot dog cart saying, hey, sir, we're going to move a little bit quicker because I don't need anyone getting a bad taste in their mouth, and I'm not talking about your hot dog. So we talked about that, of how to help them process so that we were all linked together.
That's right.
Like you said, beaten to the same drum, and then they understand, okay, yeah, this is different. Internally, from externally. So let's break it down to the marketing. How does this look different, and why is this different? How does it work?
So number one, with our marketing, if you're sitting in a marketing meeting with our, dream team, they would talk about 360 degrees, that the marketing needs to talk about the same message. Whether it's in person at the dealership, it ought to feel and look the same. If it's a billboard going down the road, whether it's static or digital, if it's a traditional radio spot, if it's streaming audio or video, if it's social platform, if it's website, if it's banner ads, wherever it may be, that it's going to talk about the same message. And that's a key in marketing. Don't have multiple different messages going on everywhere. You need consistency, and then you got to up the frequency with different channels to continue to plant those seeds in people's mind about why they should do business with you, and then call to actions, which we call CTAs. And then our in-person, we wanted to make sure once they got to the dealership that it felt like a big deal, because it is a big deal. We create that through the atmosphere. We've talked a little bit about it, but I can see you just pulled up the calendar there. We had to calendar this thing. We had so much stuff going on. Give them a couple ideas.
So we told you what Saturday looked like. So we will kind of build throughout the week. So today is a Taco Tuesday.
Yep.
We start to roll in our promotion for service.
Yep.
Tomorrow is $50 off oil change across the board. And any person, $50.
That's pretty.
Wow.
Podcast live going on now. Yesterday, our first mail drop happened, which was 20,000 pieces of mail that went out. We had a Cedar marketing campaign of additional savings going to additional people. That launched, and then we roll into Wednesday. We talked about the oil change, but it'll be Win It Wednesday, where we start giving away items that you'll see on social media. We gave a Stanley away yesterday. And it rolls into Thursday, and then Friday starts the commotion of the carnival.
Again.
And so it's Cancun Friday.
That's right.
So you will see us.
That's right.
Spoiler alert, you will see us in the best of the best, the nicest of the nice, the tackiest of the tackiest.
Tommy Bahama.
Tommy Bahama.
Oh, yeah. It's been fun.
And so that we've been pre-phasing the entire team. Like, don't show up Friday and say, I couldn't find one, I couldn't get one,
I'll
it didn't
have something
fit.
for you.
We're gonna have some for you, and it's gonna be ugly. I'm talking from a Bucky's version,
I love that.
from Tommy Bahama, from an Oppo suit, and it's just people are like, why do you wear this stuff?
Why not?
You know, I told this story yesterday. I'll tell it again. So on Valentine's Day, our marketing team said, hey, make sure you wear pink or red. So Taylor was going around saying, hey, white will get away with it. It's pink or red. I just happen to have a full pink Oppo suit.
Sure.
Like, bright pink. And so I'm so used to wearing these things, from Christmas suits to St. Patrick's Day suits. And so I put this pink suit on. And then I forget on my way home, it's Valentine's Day, that I need to make sure that I have everything I need to take care of my family for Valentine's Day.
Absolutely.
So I stop at Walgreens, because the best deals happen right then.
Yeah,
Right?
it's Mammo's favorite.
So I stop at Walgreens to get a card, to get some candy.
Sure.
And I'm wearing this bright pink suit. Like, it was fine here, but then I'm like, I'm worn down.
fish
It's
out
been
of
a
water.
long day. And people are just looking at me. And I'm like, why not? Right? But what we've learned is, no one has had a bad experience when some guy's dressed up like John Candy,
Yeah.
you know, with this Cancun shirt on. So we start that Cancun Friday. We'll be giving away Cancun-based activities. We'll have a food truck at the Farmington lot. We'll have a food truck at the Springdale lot. We'll have dual food trucks here. We'll have pickup car wash giveaway. We'll have all this stuff.
What about the other random stuff? You gave them a good breakdown per day, but just give them a couple examples of random things that they might not think they'd have activity-wise if they showed up.
We have multiple rolling video game trailers.
Okay.
Arcade trailers.
Okay.
Axe throwing.
Okay.
We will have, we talked about the pottery thing. We will have maybe a mechanical bull. Maybe we'll have a race, NASCAR race
NASCAR.
car. We have a
There's all sorts of
There's
stuff.
31 days of crazy off-the-wall activity.
Okay, so some of y'all are listening, and you're like, that's great,
Okay,
Matt.
Yeah, whatever.
But I've got 6 employees, and we just can't do all that.
It's scalable.
It is very scalable. A lot of the things we've gone over, like the food trucks, for example, or this or that, they don't cost any money. You just have to create the excitement.
Yeah, and how much was the 31-foot full-on claymation pottery? What was the cost of that?
It was just through a sponsorship, so it was zero.
So because if you go back 4 or 5 episodes of proper
Yes.
networking, helping people
grassroots.
when you can help, the grassroots, we said, hey, we have this month of March, the Ultimate Challenge going on. They said, oh, we'd love to be a part of that.
I think that's the value. When you start making deposits and helping others out, you have built up this bank, let's call it this savings account, that then you get to start making withdrawals from throughout the year. And everybody out there has a sports team that they did this or they sponsored this. Get them together to do a car wash, for donations. That's a commotion out in front of your place. You can scale any of this. We didn't start off when we were selling 300 cars with all this in there.
No.
We've scaled it a little bit at a time. We've added more in there for the employees, more in there for the customers. Again, don't allow your brain to just close off and go, well, it must be nice to have that budget. I wish we could do that. It's all scalable. What can you do? The social media, the excitement, so on and so forth. And just get in there and make it where an employee wants to be a part of it and a customer goes, wow, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, internal atmosphere. You know what that costs? Absolutely nothing. That's controlled by you every single day. You get to make the choice. And this rolls into the whole thing we've talked about. How do you prepare your day? Are you battle tested to be able to handle any objection that comes in from a customer? And are you ready to set the tone for your entire team every single day?
Like, what if you tell the team, Taylor, hey, on Friday, you can wear jeans?
Oh my God.
What does that do to your team?
They just come unraveled, and I don't know why, because I like a good pair of slacks. They're
excited.
And what's the cost to that?
Nothing.
And so do you
They're
think
so
because
excited.
they are excited to wear their jeans, the customer gets a better experience?
Yes.
They do, because the business we're in, there's two different types of business. You're either doing physical work or mental work.
Yep.
It's those two, okay? And if you're in the space of mental work, which the majority of people are, you must keep the internal person, which is your employee, at an excitement level that's high if you want a great experience for your customer.
Absolutely.
On the other end. So same thing with Cancun Friday. It doesn't cost us anything.
No.
It's just fun. No different than when we do a Razorback Day or we're your favorite sports team day.
Yep.
We do this or you do that.
You wait till I bring a Kicks Day out. Because the people are so fired up that we've got these ridiculous shoes.
They're so comfortable.
So again, and we could talk for hours about just creating excitement. And you've heard it on the other podcasts, but I'm just telling you the reason we pause there because it is a big deal. And how we've evolved from selling 300 cars in a March to 555 is just by scaling all that. We didn't change any of it. We scaled it. We developed and got the right team together. And it's very important that you tell your team, whatever your goal is out there, and you're like, well, Matt, I'm a roofing company. Great. You don't have goals? You don't have daily goals and monthly goals? Maybe you should. If you'll get your team on there, you've got to tell them, once you tell them the goal, I believe in you and you can do this. Because if you don't set the standard and the expectations of not only is this big, but I know you can help me accomplish it, they'll never believe in themselves.
Ever.
Yeah.
So that's important.
And I think that's a good point as you work up to that, what that goal is. And as that continues to grow, and you talked about reaching out to have that hype. Also, you have to realize the work that went into this underground.
Yes.
To make sure that you put the work in. If you're not on the front lines, that you put the work in. So when you say it's big, it actually is big.
That's right.
So the inventory building that we've been doing, we talked about that, right? Of the purchasing, and we work directly with the manufacturer, say, hey, we have a larger than normal travel rate. We need your help to get more. We worked with the banks.
Yes.
And got a automatic markdown of 2.5 points on your interest rate.
Huge.
I know people would like that, right? So across the board with 27 different banks, 2.5 points average markdown there.
It's huge.
So we called all the banks and said, hey, here's the deal. It's Ultimate Challenge. I need you to buy a little bit deeper.
Yep.
You know, if there's an iffy customer, remember all the good customers I sent you? We told all of our buyers, which are generally all internal, but we get 10 different sources on every single trade value.
Yep.
We said, hey, it's the Ultimate Challenge.
I love this on Saturday, and we hadn't evenly over, but talking about outside sources of my buyer, I sent him about 15 cars in 2 hours, and he's like, oh, God, I didn't even look at the date. It's March 1st, and are y'all bringing this back out again? And I started dying laughing. He's like, I'm so excited. He said, I might just come down there and just stay on spot all month long. He said, this is great, and I love being a part of it. Thank you so much for bringing this back. So that's feeding to an outside external source vendor that we have the excitement, and it's bleeding over to them because they realize what it's going to bring.
And you have to realize that yesterday in a construction meeting, yes, we're still in construction. We poured a 6 foundation yesterday as we continually grow. But one of the guys, he's shopping for a vehicle for his wife. He came here, looked at it, but then his wife said, hey, there was a new model at Nissan I need to look at. There's a new one at Honda I want to look at. I said, absolutely. I said, thank you for giving us an opportunity. But yesterday in the construction meeting, what did he say about?
He said, of all the places I went in Northwest Arkansas, and he said, we went to a bunch of them on Saturday. He's like, nowhere was there as much going on as you guys had going on. And not only that, your crew, and they didn't know him from Adam until he got involved with us. Your crew was attentive. They were nice. They weren't pushy. They wanted to answer questions, test drive vehicles. The experience felt different, looked different, and it looked like a place I wanted to be and do business with.
I love it.
That's a really good point. Here's the thing we talked to our team, and I am A-OK to share everyone with this entire world. We talk about how do you sell a vehicle. It's not by pressure. It's not by tricks. It's not by pulling the wool over your eyes. And as a simple analogy, we talk about value and price.
Yep.
The price of a product and the value that vehicle and you as a seller bring to that. And so by not bringing pressure to that person, we can allow them to move on their terms and in their timing. And we say, if you can get the value to exceed the price, the purchase is as simple just processing the paperwork. And if you can make it fun, make it exciting, make it a great experience. I mean, I think they rate buying a car with like going to the dentist.
I don't even like looking at that stuff.
Well, like having to deal with an attorney. And so we realized it doesn't have to be.
I think another nugget that I'll pull out here in case anybody missed it is what Shelby talked about there is look at the value you're offering, whether it be a product or a service. And before you're like, hey, we're not doing enough business, we better cut our price or we better do this or that. Pause for just a second. I'm not saying you don't have to be competitive, but I'm saying relook at the value you're bringing. Are you explaining what all your company offers? Are you explaining all your expertise and what you actually go through? Because there's probably, we could dissect anybody's business, there's a lot of value points that need to be translated to your customer on why they should do business with
Absolutely.
you. So you've got to make sure you look at what's your value proposition and don't hold it as an owner or as a manager and yourself. Is your whole team talking about that?
Yeah.
Because once that value does exceed the price, then the customer says yes, they have a great experience. They tell others, which are called repeats and referrals, which then close at a higher ratio. And then you start building your business long-term organically.
Yeah, and $0. Hey, shout out to all the people watching out there. We got Jeremy, Derek, David, Trent. We got Tucker. We've got Sarah. We've got Ken. We got Mark. We got James. We got Trenton. We got Kale. We got Code Red. Hey, I love the support. If you guys have something specifically you want to know about the podcast,
You bet.
why Taylor parts his hair left versus right,
I don't know.
why Matt's got a black short sleeve shirt on, or
You completely.
you want a good deal on something.
You completely went over this, man. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to throw you on the spot because you would know better than me or Shelby or anything else. We missed our automotive fun fact. Whenever the team was putting it together, I love the responses. They said, you need to be able to figure it out because we don't know exactly. But how many ultimate challenges have there been over the years?
Okay, so this will be number 18.
Okay.
This will be,
18.
we're going into number 18.
Number 18.
It's like Tom Brady.
So
for double.
if it had not been a success in 03, then like, okay, we'll try to get in 04. But let's say 3 or 4 years into it, it had just nosedove and it wasn't a success. But that wasn't the case.
Yes.
Northwest Arkansas was looking for this. Our employees were looking for this.
Oh, yeah.
They were looking for a reason to do business, to start off. Maybe they're getting ready to go on spring break. Maybe they're thinking about summertime. Maybe their car's out of warranty. Maybe it's time for new tires. And you combine that with the longer days, the daylight savings, and all the incentives, and it's perfect season for having a sale like this to sell cars.
It is, and I love the branding awareness that comes with it. We call it our ultimate challenge, but I can't tell you how many people I talk to. They're like, oh, yeah, your March Madness, your March Madness. And let me tell you this right now. If a customer comes up, do not say, no, it's wrong. It's ultimate challenge. Be like, oh, yeah, March Madness. They're talking about basketball because it's the Final Four, everything else in March.
I'm good at that.
Yes, be involved
Basketball.
with it. Yeah, Shelby will show you all the alley-oops and
Shoot it
hoops
down
and
there.
everything else you got.
It's about the hustle.
But whenever a customer comes in and is excited about something, make sure you never make that mistake of, no, you're wrong. Say, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming in, and show them that whole process of why they're excited.
That's really important, and it's funny because our kids are getting to that age, and so my kids asked last night. So this was an update for you as of Tuesday. We're Saturday, Monday, we're rolling it. And this is Tuesday morning. So they said, Dad, do you think you'll sell 555? I can't think of a year that we haven't hit the number. and I haven't always been, on the very top of the helm, figuring the things out. But in the years that I've been a part of it, we've hit it and stretched it. 555 is a lot. That's 555 customers that can get approved, that we agree on numbers, that the trade was within balance. I said, buddy, that's a lot.
Hey, I'm going to help all the car guys out there because I'm sure some of our competitors are listening. We invite that. Come on, listen in. That 555 is 100% retail, no fleet deals.
Yes.
Okay. No wholesale deals, no dealer trades.
Nope.
555 customers that we take a picture with, shake their hand, red carpet, real deal, no fluff in the stats.
That's a good point. Thanks for pointing that out. That's not the additional 400 that we sell to Tyson, or whatever it is. So do you think we'll hit it? And I said, we're going to give it all we got, which means customer on the other side, you should probably show up and raise your hand pretty quickly. So as of this morning, we were 52 sold.
Yep, 52 sold. And that other point, we got to go back to this because I know we have business, this whole podcast is about helping other businesses out. We talk about the number 555 really like once, and we'll reference it every once in a while. Yeah. But what you really talked about this morning was, here's where we're on pace. Here's what we got to do today.
Yep.
And we managed today. We managed today and today's activities, and it stand on it.
It's funny because I remember that. Remember when we had mall sales, and this came from the fairgrounds of Dad to our grandfather, and he would give the whole speech, lead the whole ship of what the day needed to accomplish.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And so I remember Dad at the mall with his calligraphy.
Yes.
He had the cardboard with the colored paper, and it would have its goal on it.
It would.
Right? And so if we were trending up or trending down, there was plenty of times that we were behind.
Sure.
And so I remember it wasn't like 325 must be sold or 450 must be sold. It's like, okay, to get back on par, we spent all the money, we've got all the stuff, we need to sell 42 today.
I think another point, I'm going to give you all behind the scenes of what's the biggest challenge for us managing it during the month is, we look at a Friday, a Saturday, a Monday. Those days are typically larger in the car business. We do more transactions. So you come off a Saturday, you come off a Monday, and you're talking about how we've already sold 50 plus vehicles. What we have to concentrate on as leaders is the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday.
So their dauber doesn't get down. Like,
That's
I only
right.
sold 6 today, or I sold 1 today.
Yep.
You help them, back on the track, and off you go, little buddy.
So we know those are key days that we have to double down on those daily activities because we might not have as much natural traffic that's coming in that we would see on a Friday, a Saturday, a Monday. So we've identified that within, so we don't have everybody that has a big Saturday like we did, or a good Monday, and then they're on cruise control thinking like, hey, this thing's just going to keep duplicating itself.
No, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the deals that we couldn't get accomplished, or we were missing a couple pieces, the trade, or when we needed all parties involved. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday help us go through those and put those deals together, the difficult deals, the deals that had some strings that were hung out there, and then that strings kind of helped keeping us on pace there.
You bet. Taylor, you had it in there to kind of talk about the pros and cons of Ultimate Challenge. We've talked a whole lot about the pros.
Yes.
I led in talking about, I'm just going to say a challenge, not a con, a challenge that we got to focus on that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, the biggest deal in there, and I love this analogy Shelby brought up here, and it's no different than in a race you're in. A con, whenever you run a type of whole month sale, not a weekend push, not a day push, not anything else, is making sure you are on the gas the right amount. Because if you're
pace yourself,
you gotta pace yourself. And somebody that's been weathered through it, you can gas it pretty hard and then reset and then just keep gassing it. But as your team is developed in different stages, you need to make sure that you manage that correctly. Like intensity, don't take this by any means of like lay lower level, don't push as hard. No, intensity level needs to be up, but you need to forecast and look and see, hey, I've got this much gas in the tank.
You bet.
And it's going to have to be refilled throughout the month. But do not over push your team because then what will happen? You're done.
So I'll talk about intensity. We had some people that were kind of seasoned and then some total rookies. This was some years back in Ultimate Challenge. It was a Friday and the close was on a Saturday.
Yep.
Okay. So March 31st was on the Saturday. it was Friday, and they got so jacked up because we had brought the intensity level high. They'd come from a big sales meet, a huge day of activities, and they said, let's do a 24-hour sell.
Oh, yeah.
They were wound up.
And so we're talking about a marathon or a 100-mile race, and they were a mile 70 or 80.
And just said,
And they said, let's just sprint. Well, I said, you guys do you. Here's the keys of the building. Good luck to you, all right? Well, I loved watching on the camera. I went home. Yeah, I mean, it was like 11:30 or midnight before I got home of normal business. Got in bed, woke up early, and I could see them on the camera. They goofed off. They were not doing a 24-hour sell, but they were so jacked up. They were like playing kickball on the show. It was a big
control.
And then the next day, their heads were welded to the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And so then we put them back on the tracks and put a nitro booster underneath.
Yep.
And said, hey, appointments, you get out. And by the end, they had sprinted way too early.
Yep.
I think that's important as a big leader is like you love the excitement and you love the buy-in, but you also have to show them the path and keep them what we call between the boundaries.
You do.
Sometimes you got to kind of tap them back in here, tap them back in
And you
there.
have to do it carefully and tastefully, so you're not just a fire extinguisher to put out
For
there
sure.
like, well, shoot, I thought I was bringing the heat for this ultimate challenge, and they said this is stupid, don't do that.
Yep.
It's you as a manager, as a leader. You know when to let the reins out and pull them back. It's constantly out, back, out, back. You are constantly changing, adapting to whatever. They're looking for you to say go or pull back, go or pull back. So you got to make sure as a leader you're going through that with them every single day, like Matt talked about. Daily activities, why we break that down completely is because if you look at a whole picture of a 555 or selling X amount of roofs or doing this many services, if you look at the total number, you'll never accomplish it if you don't take it into bite-sized pieces.
There's no way. It'll overwhelm people. And that's what a good coach does on any sports team is they'll keep them within the boundaries. They don't just bring out the Hail Mary first play of the game, you know. They call the plays when it's appropriate. They call a timeout, get their team. If it's going in the wrong direction, they say, pause, let's reset. No different than you were talking about last week with the axe on sharpening it.
Yep.
It's like there is gold in the pause and then given the correct direction that you want your team to go.
So I will tell you, as a consumer, if you're on the other side thinking and you're sharing this, or you might be wanting to be part of the March Madness or Ultimate Challenge or Lewis Automotive Sell, I want to give you an inside trader tip. You want to move sooner than later.
Oh, yeah.
Very true. That's
You need to move. So do not wait to say, hey, I'll wait till March 31st and I want to be that last deal. Because you're going to be driving away in a purple Pinto.
It's going to be all I have.
Or if we're already at 563, that doesn't mean we won't put another deal together.
No, we will, but we're not going to lose 10 grand and travel to Muskogee to go get this thing for you. But if you'll do it early, we've got our daily goals that we have to hit, and you're going to have a better selection. Now, we'll keep bringing in inventory, and we'll keep buying vehicles, but while the team is still fresh,
Yes.
and while the inventory is the freshest, and I promise you, you said don't bring out the Hail Mary. We brought the Hail Mary and the discounts.
Oh, yeah,
and the
for sure.
motivation. So don't think the deals will get better because we came right to the beginning with we're winning this Super Bowl and this how it works. So as a consumer, don't worry about us. We'll pace through it. But you will get the best deal and the best selection right from the get-go.
From the get-go.
I agree. We broke down Ultimate Challenge pretty solid there. And Taylor, our automotive fun fact quiz of the week, we told them, we're going into year 18 there. They're going into 18. So what other takeaways or talking about on Ultimate Challenge do you guys have? We've talked about the deals. We've talked about that it's a great time for a customer to take advantage, kind of dissected how we get our team on board first. We get all of our marketing behind. And guys, it takes all those details to add it up.
I think it's an important part, and we won't talk about the auction. We'll save that for another time, another conversation. But one of the things that we do, unless you want to talk about, one of the things we do in our 360 marketing, a cool thing that I don't know when this started, but years ago, you will see driving on the road on the back window to be part of the sale, which is all of our employees. There is a big chloroplast sticker, 2 foot by 3 foot Ultimate Challenge sticker. So that when you're at the gas station or at the light, people will say, well, hey, what is that? What's the Ultimate Challenge? And so that's something that if you haven't been a part of that, or if you're a consumer seeing that, you say, what is that? That's part of our 360 guerrilla marketing without the gorilla.
Yeah.
So that's
a
a
good
big
point.
thing that is part of like one of the hidden Mickeys.
Yeah. Somebody had also asked the other day, they're like, hey, as brothers, I mean, are y'all, which we say we're involved, or they say on weekends, hey, are y'all still there, involved in it? I laughed about this. I came home after Saturday that day because it was sunny. Somebody was like, huh? Why is your face and head red? I said, I don't think I went inside the entire day, which is my most favorite days. You can normally find Shelby jogging back and forth in between the front of the store
Directing
just to talk to
traffic
you.
of just talking to the people.
I looked at one point, Matt and Shelby's son, Oliver and Lincoln were here, and they had set them up throughout the parking lot to be like traffic directors.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, boys, what are you doing? One of them was sending them back here. We had an event that there was at our conference room over here, and whenever they were leaving, it was a sunshiny day. We said, hey, let's wash all their cars. So one of them was directing them. The other one had the code back at the car wash, and they were walkie-talkieing back and forth like, hey, I got a couple more coming your way. So I love the atmosphere on the weekends. It's a full deal family, whether it be family or employees that are part of the family. Love the atmosphere that it brings on Saturday.
Oh, that's so good.
It's definitely an all skate. And it was definitely important as one of the leaders to make sure that even through all the people being here, that there wasn't someone that fell through the cracks.
Yes.
If they were like, well, yeah, it looks crazy, but no one ever helped.
I never talked.
So if we can talk to every single car when it comes in and they're greeted, we can give direction and we can help them make sure that at the end of the day, you're not left with that. It's like getting in that money machine and the money's blowing around.
You don't grab
And like, there was so much money and there was so much.
You just better dump
It's like,
some
show me what you got. And they're like, well, I didn't get anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true for sure. All right, next up, frequently asked questions there, and I'll dive in here. They threw out there, what is a frequently asked question that I get about Ultimate Challenge? Now, I've been around for a lot of these years. Part of them I was in college, but then the majority of them I've been here. The biggest thing I get is from other people in business, what outside company did y'all use? What firm did y'all use to put it all together? Both internally and externally. And it blows their mind when we tell them it was all done internally.
Yep.
It was done by our team. They're like, well, how did you do that? And that's changed throughout the years, how we've scaled. But we now have an amazing team that we started meeting over a month ago, spitballing ideas, coming up with stuff. Now those employees had to almost sound like a disclosure, not talking to anybody about it.
Secret society.
But there's a lot of planning and prep that happens behind the scenes to make sure that day one we get going, but all that happens internally.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought we were already talking frequently asked questions, so I said about the stickers, but
You're good.
so that's definitely a big deal of just having that whole thing tied together.
Absolutely. And I think we hit the nail on the head of everything, of just being a part of it. And the people asking, hey, how are y'all involved besides just being there? So telling them the whole story of how it's evolved from this, because I always love, and we get the questions there that, hey, I'm not at that scale. We started at a scale that was so small, and it's evolved from there. I had someone ask me the other day because they've seen our crazy club-like atmosphere in there. He's like, hey, I play loud music, but it's on this little boom box, a couple speakers. I said, that fires me up so much that you're starting there, because 20 years ago, that's where we started, with a CD player. And it doesn't matter what scale you're at, just take the initiative and be different, but bring the atmosphere to your team.
And that's a really good point. And so we share, like, our Ford team. Shout out Marianne for being on here. We brought them through, and we constantly will give a tour. She works for Ford, but we will always give her a car wash, treat her like a high valued customer, make sure that they feel special. So if they have a question, or if I need help from Ford, they're like, hey, these people are supportive.
Yep.
Yes.
How can I support back? And we said, hey, any Ford events that we could host, we'd love to have them here. And people say, why would you let other people in your trade here? Because I know the odds are that we can give them the entire playbook.
So true.
And they won't put it into play. And so even if it's a junior boombox, and so we were watching a video from, it was like probably 04, maybe 05.
Somewhere in there.
And it was a boombox, a pig nose amp with a silver CD player, and halfway through the intro, the CD was skipping, and we walked and clapped for the whole song. Your hands would be white by the time you're done with the tambourine and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just the idea of actually putting it into scale in the atmosphere. So my key would be just to
Just get started.
Just start.
Get started. And today's the best day to do that. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us live here. Remember, the Ultimate Challenge is going on. It's going on in all locations. We're in Fayetteville here, but it also goes on up at our Springdale store. It goes on out in Farmington as well. And make sure we'll be back same place next week live. So send in those questions. Get ready to share the videos out so we can cover the subjects you want to talk about with business. Hey, and take the time to go over to Crossroad Conversations Podcast. Make sure to like and share and subscribe so you get the latest information from us trying to help you with your business. Thank you, guys.